And today our very first math story problem is about Mr. Evan. It says Evan sold the following number of baseballs during the 3 months at Dick's Sporting Goods. 173 baseballs in February, 226 baseballs in March, and 325 baseballs in April. How many baseballs did Evan sell over these 3 months? Go ahead and pause the video and take some time, read through this again if you need to, and solve this. Make sure you actually pause the video and solve. Don't keep watching. Pause it now. All right, you should have gone through this, reread the problem, determine what operation you need, and solved. If you've not done it, pause it now. Go back and solve this problem. We're going to go ahead and get started together. So, this math story problem says Evan sold the following number of baseballs during 3 months at Dick's Sporting Goods. 173 baseballs in February, 226 baseballs in March, and 325 baseballs in April. How many baseballs did Evan sell over these 3 months? So we want to know how many baseballs over these 3 months. First, do we know the total amount of baseballs, or are we looking for the total amount of baseballs? They say how many baseballs, which tells us we are looking for our total. And when I check my numbers and what is in the story, I don't see anything about equal groups. I notice I have 3 different parts. So, knowing that I'm looking for my total, and in this section of the story, I see parts. Sorry about that. That tells me I'm going to be adding. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my strip diagram. The bottom section will be for my total. The top section will be for my parts. I have 3 parts. I'm going to split this into 3 parts. I need a section for February, a section for March, and a section for April. In February, Evan sold 173 baseballs. In March, he sold 226 baseballs. And then in April, he sold 325 baseballs. And I am looking for my total amount of baseballs. So knowing that I need to add, I already know what operation I need, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So first, I'm going to add February, baseballs for February, and 226 baseballs for March. Add those together. 3 plus 6 equals 9. 7 plus 2 equals 9. 1 plus 2 equals 3. So between February and March, Evan sold 399 baseballs. All right, so I have February, March. I'm not done yet because when I look back, I see that I still need April. So I'm going to take my 399 baseballs for February and March, and I'm going to add it to 325 baseballs for April. So I'm covering April now. Let's add those together. 9 plus 5 equals 14. Put my 4 in my ones place. Carry that 1 to the tens place. 1 plus 9 equals 10. Plus 2 more equals 12. So I'll put down my 2. Carry my 1 to my hundreds place. 3 plus 1 equals 4. Plus 3 more equals 7. 724 baseballs. So when I added all 3 numbers together, we ended with 724 baseballs. Before I circle my final answer and move on, I'm going to reread just to make sure I have all my information correct. So Evan sold the following number of baseballs during 3 months at Dick's Sporting Goods. 173 baseballs in February, 226 baseballs in March, 325 baseballs in April. How many baseballs did he sell over these 3 months? I added all 3 together. I don't have any extra information. I'm going to double check. 1, 2, 3. We got all 3 months. So my final answer is Evan sold 724 baseballs over those 3 months. All right. Go ahead and get a new piece of scrap paper, or if you printed off the questions, go ahead and get the question out about Mr. Jaden. Jaden is up next. This problem says Jaden made 432 popsicles in June and 186 popsicles in July. What is the difference between the number of popsicles made in these 2 months? So just like we did with our last math story problem, go ahead and pause your video now, and I would love for you to take the time to solve, and then after you finish solving, you can go ahead and replay this video or restart the video where you left off and check your answer with me. All right, this math story problem says Jaden made 432 popsicles in June and 186 popsicles in July. What is the difference between the number of popsicles made in these 2 months? There was a huge keyword there. We heard the word difference. If we were in our classroom right now, I would say, turn around, look at that math word. Well, what does difference tell us to do? And everyone would yell, subtract. So this is a subtraction problem. They want to know what the difference. Difference means subtract. Difference is the answer when we subtract. So we want to know the difference between these 2 months. Luckily, they only gave us 2 months in this math story problem, so this is an easy peasy problem. So we know Jaden sold 432 popsicles in June and 186 popsicles in July. We want to know the difference, so we're going to subtract to see what the difference is between 432 and 186. Remember, when we're subtracting or finding the difference, our larger number always has to go on top. We always have to start with a larger amount. Because if I had started with 186 on the top, there's no way I could take out 432 from 186. So, going ahead and solving 432, take away 186. We're finding the difference, which is subtraction. So I have 2 take away 6. I can't do that. I only have 2 ones. So I'm going to come over to the tens column. Right now I have 3 tens. I'm going to make it 2 tens, and I'm going to borrow that 10 next door. So now that I'm putting 10 in the ones place, I already have 2 ones. 2 ones plus 10 is going to give me 12. 12 take away 6 is 6. Now I'm going over to my tens column. 2 take away 8. I cannot do that. That's impossible. So I'm going to go over to my hundreds column. I have 4 hundreds. I'm going to take 1 away, leaving us with 3 hundreds. I'm going to take one of those hundreds over to my tens column. So now I'm going to have 2 tens sitting here. Remember, next door it's always 10 more. So 2 tens plus the 10 tens I'm taking from next door is going to give me 12 tens. 12 take away 8 equals 4. And finally, 3 take away 1 equals 2. The difference is 246 popsicles between those 2 months. I'm going to reread just to make sure before I move on. Jaden made 432 popsicles in June and 186 popsicles in July. What is the difference? We'll subtract between the number of popsicles made in these 2 months. Check, check. I didn't leave out any steps. Circled my final answer of 246 popsicles, which is the difference between how many popsicles were made in June and July. So, switching gears again, if you're working on scrap paper, get some fresh paper. If you printed out the problems to work with me, we are going to work on Miss Madrigal's problem. So, Miss Madrigal is our student teacher. She has already been so amazing, getting things ready for you, coming up with great ideas to stay connected, and joining us in our Meet and Zoom sessions. So, Miss Madrigal is making some brownies. It says Miss Madrigal made 6 plates of brownies. Each plate has 8 brownies. How many brownies has Miss Madrigal made? Go ahead and pause the video and solve this for me. All right, Miss Madrigal made 6 plates of brownies. Each plate has 8 brownies. That each is a huge word. It's telling me we're working with equal groups. How many brownies has Miss Madrigal made? So we're trying to look for how many. Do we know how many she made? We do not know how many she made, which means we are looking for our total. And we have equal groups. These 2 clues or these 2 descriptors tell me that we are going to be subtracting. So drawing a strip diagram, The top will be for my equal groups. The bottom section will be for my total. And I have 6 plates of brownies. I need 6 equal groups. And in each of my 6 equal groups, I'm going to have 8 brownies. So 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, and 8. And I'm looking for my total amount of brownies. So there's 2 ways I could solve this. First, I know I have 6 groups of 8, so I could do that multiplication problem using my multiplication facts. Or I could go through and use repeated addition and add 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 together. We know 6 times 8 equals 48. We've been practicing using extra math and working on that facts fluency. So 6 groups of 8 is 48 brownies. Let me reread my problem to make sure I didn't miss anything. Miss Madrigal made 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plates of brownies. Each plate has 8 brownies on it. Perfect. How many has she made all together? Miss Madrigal has made 48 brownies. All right, moving on to our final problem together. Remember, if you're using scrap paper, get a fresh section or get a fresh piece of paper. If you have our problems printed out, we are working on the question about Mrs. Hartfield. This math story problem says Mrs. Hartfield has 32 stickers to share equally with her 4 students at teacher table. How many stickers would each student receive? Go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to go ahead and take a second to solve independently, find your final answer, and then play the video again when you are ready to solve with me and check your work. All right, this one says Mrs. Hartfield has 32 stickers to share equally. So we know how many stickers she has, and it says equally, which means equal groups. She's sharing them equally with her 4 students at the teacher table. So she's not excluding the rest of the class, it's just who's at teacher table. There's a huge thing whenever we read these problems and we know that they're talking about someone and some friends or students or other people. Sometimes there are tricky problems where it'll say she's going to share them equally with herself and 4 students, so that would be 5 people total. Or it could just say she's sharing them with 4 students. This problem, it does say she's just sharing them with her 4 students, so we don't need to add people. I just want to point that out because I know sometimes we get tricked on those questions. But this one does in fact say she's just sharing them with her 4 students, meaning Mrs. Hartfield is not getting any stickers today. How many stickers would each student receive? We want to know how many each student is going to receive. So we know we're working with equal groups. Do we know the total amount of stickers? Or are we looking for the total amount of stickers? So starting out, we had 32 stickers and we're sharing them. So if we're sharing them, would our numbers get larger or smaller when we're sharing? If we're sharing the stickers, our number will get smaller because if I only have 32 stickers and 4 students, when I give 1 to you, 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 to each of my 4 students until they're all out, my students are going to end up with less than 32 stickers. So 32 stickers is our total, so we know the total. Since we know the total and we're working with equal groups, we are dividing. So we have 32 stickers total. Whenever we see that division symbol, we say shared with. So 32 stickers total shared with 4 students would equal how many stickers each? So we want to find out how many each student will receive. Drawing our strip diagram, the total is going to be at the top since that's what I'm starting out with this time, and my equal groups will be at the bottom. My total is 32 stickers, and I'm sharing them equally amongst 4 students. So we have a few options in how we can solve here. We could do equal groups, and I could go through and say 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you, and keep going until all 32 are given out. we could do repeated subtraction. So I could take 32 and I could subtract it from 4 over and over and over until there are no more left, and then I'll count up how many takeaway 4s I used. Or I can use related facts or fact families. So if I'm going to use related facts or fact families, I know I'm solving for 32 divided by 4 equals blank, which also means if I take 32 and share it with blank, it'll give me an answer of 4. Or I can take 4, multiply it by something, and it'll give me an answer of 32. Or I can take blank, multiply it by 4, and it's going to equal 32. So this is just setting up our fact families. Multiplication and division are in a fact family, and then addition and subtraction are in a fact family. Right now we're trying to push more towards using those related facts when we're dividing to save us time and to help support us in learning our multiplication facts and building that fact fluency. So when I look at this problem, it's easiest for me to think about 4 times what equals 32. I know 4 times 8 equals 32. So I could use my knowledge of 4 times 8 equals 32 to help me solve this problem. I'm going to go ahead and fill it in on my strip diagram up here. So 4 groups of 8 equals 32 total stickers. If I were to go back and add 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 to check myself, it would equal 32. So if Mrs. Hartfield has 32 total stickers and she's going to share it with 4 students, each student would receive 8 stickers. Before I circle my final answer and say that I'm done, I'm going to reread just to make sure I didn't miss anything or get tricked with any extra information. Mrs. Hartfield has 32 total stickers to share equally with her 4 students. So 32 shared with 4 at teacher table. How many stickers would each student receive? Each student is going to receive 8 stickers total. All right, guys, we are done for today. Thank you so much for working with me on this. Thank you for trying to solve these on your own before watching the video. I hope that as you went through, you did it just like we did in our classroom. And if you forgot to highlight important information, I hope you went back and did that. I hope you checked your work. I hope you proved with evidence. And I'm going to be sharing all of this in our Google Classroom. I'm going to post this, our operation chart, that way you can use it. So what you're going to be doing next is a Google form. I'll give you more directions when you get there about how that looks. But when you're going through that Google form, these are all one-step problems. I don't know if you noticed as I went through, we worked on all single-step problems. Today we're focusing on one-step problems. Tomorrow we'll work more on those two-step, multi-step problems. But keep in mind, one-step problems today. Think about it. Do I know my total or am I looking for my total? Am I working with parts or equal groups? Make sure you're using the correct operation before you solve. You don't want to just jump to an operation and then do all the work and realize that you made a mistake because you chose the wrong operation. So before you start solving and doing all that computation and proving with evidence, make sure that you're asking yourself these 2 essential questions and determining which operation you need. Always reread, double check yourself. Now I will say, your next piece is going to be in a Google form. Even though it's online and digital, you still must prove with evidence. No, you don't have to turn in your evidence, but that is our expectation. So make sure you're solving it out. Make sure you're checking your work, rereading, do everything we would do in the classroom. And I cannot wait to work with you again tomorrow on those 2-step problems. Remember, always try your personal best, and thank you for your effort today.